Okay, guys. So I want to real briefly talk about parallel worlds, and different realities. And I don't know how other people explain it, but actually, different realities and parallel worlds. You go through parallel worlds all the time, and you don't realize you do. Just like you manifest all the time, and you don't realize you do. Um, we go through parallel worlds in our whole life. We're in a multiverse, right? So as we grow and as we change, we go through different worlds. When we change things about ourselves, when our energy changes up, okay, when we have when we think on different types of dimensions, different types of perceptions, you might see things several different ways, okay. And so yeah, so somebody was talking about timelines and parallel worlds, and how can you switch through parallel worlds and stuff like that. Well, I think it's some channels that kind of make it maybe more complicated. But what I've learned about going through parallel worlds is, if you want to purposely choose a parallel world for yourself, then you have to try to get in that kind of vibration of what you want. So, like, if you want to get into a parallel world where you might experience more positivity around you, more love around you, then you wanna try to purposely put yourself into that type of energy. Like, say, if you're suffering from, you feel like you wasn't loved by people in your family, you feel like you were always put down or something like that, but you want to experience more love in your life first, because they've torn you down so bad. This is just an example. Now, this is not about nobody in particular. This is just an example. But this is something a lot of people go through, no matter what culture they are. A lot of people have gone through this. You go through situations in your family where people have been so critical, negative, torn you down to the point where you're sitting in this energy of rejection. I talked about that in the previous audio. You're sitting in this energy of rejection. You're sitting in this energy of guilt and shame. You're sitting in this energy of insecurity. And so what you want to do is that you find those issues. It's almost like working on your mental health as well, but this you were kind of working on your emotional body. And you see those things, and you might try to heal your emotional trauma. I know people don't like the word heal, but I don't get into how you're supposed to use certain vocabulary words. Some people say transmute it. So there's this word called heal, and then there's something called transmute, because energy is energy, and so it's either going to be transmuted or it's going to go somewhere else. And the thing about removing all of those type of energies from you, like if you got a lot of energies of anger, a lot of energies of bitterness, once you remove it, it needs to be replaced swiftly, or else it's going to come back, because it's so used to being in that space that it's going to come back to it's going to see you as a familiar type of vessel, and it's going to come back to you. So the proper thing to do is transmute those energies. Like, if you have a lot of rejection, if you dealt with a lot of rejection in your life, you might want to transmute those energies into love or something, and then once you work on those things about yourself, you're automatically going into different parallel worlds. You wouldn't know you're going into different parallel worlds when you see different types of experiences in your life. So, like say if you have a different experience in your life, um, like say if you have a different experience in your life this month than you had just 2 months ago, you've already gone through parallel worlds, and but don't realize it. Okay, just like this concept of how can I manifest? Like, people say, well, how can I manifest? Oh, you manifest something every day. Every day you're manifesting something. You go through parallel worlds all the time. You just don't realize it. Because you can't help but to go through a parallel world, and you're either going backwards or you're going forward, however you want to define backwards and forwards, okay? Because in some parallel world, up is down and down is up, So, but the way a lot of people in this particular timeline understand backwards and forward, backwards can be, you kind of going backward, like you might have to relearn some kind of lesson. Sometimes when you go backward, it's some kind of lesson that you might have to that you missed. Okay, that might not always be a bad thing. And then you go forward. See, you don't want to go forward too fast. You try to rush the process of going forward too fast, then you're going to be knocked down because you're moving so fast that you're not giving yourself a chance to learn your lessons. But so yeah, and this, like I said, in this idea of manifesting, people say, "Well, how can I manifest?" And the reason why people ask those kind of questions is because I've seen uploads videos on some of these channels talking about manifesting. You manifest all the time. What you manifest is all depend on doing it on purpose, right? You can manifest something negative happening in your day. You can manifest great things, positive things, whatever you consider positive happening in your life. You can, some people manifest money in their life, depending on your beliefs. So every day we're manifesting. Let me tell you something about manifesting. Sometimes other people manifest things for you in your universe. I've talked about, if you want to look at my, listen to my audio about rejection is a real feeling. The feeling of rejection is as real as a feeling of love. And so sometimes when you have somebody else who use witchcraft can be more than lighting a candle and using herbs. Witchcraft can be somebody who constantly has a negative attitude towards you. That can be witchcraft too. So I don't want to be fancy with that word, but sometimes other people can manifest things in your reality for you with their energy around you. So sometimes you can be having negativity manifested in your life, could be because of what other people are manifesting for you, and you have to cut certain energies off, cut certain individuals off. And sometimes people are purposely using witchcraft on you, purposely doing spell work on you, or rituals on you. And sometimes certain things could be manifested in your life like that too, because of how other people have manipulated your energy. It could be either your mother, it could be your father, it could be your sister. Like, for example, you can have a mother who has always affirmed you as a child, or you can have parents who have always affirmed you as a child. And so you're in a world where you experience a lot of positivity because that is the bubble that has already been created for you since you were a child. And then on the other polar opposite, you can have parents who have always been negative and put you down, and you might have been molested. You might have had some spiritual molestation. I keep bringing up the molestation part because most of my viewers are so-called Black women, and so that is a heavy experience of the majority. Okay, just from what I have observed, even on just from what I observed when I talk to them in person, and what I observe when I read their comments under certain videos. Okay. And so when you have parents who kind of torn you down as a child because they haven't learned how to affirm themselves either, they haven't been affirmed themselves, and then you might have gone through things in your life such as spiritual molestation or other things of bullying and stuff like that, then you're in a bubble of drawn in negative experiences or experiences that you don't like. Okay, that's just called negative experiences that you don't like, because what's negative to you might not be negative to somebody else. It really kind of the way negativity is defined is all about your perception of what you want in your life. That's really what it's about. Okay, but that's all. So it's really simple, moving into different parallel worlds. If you want to see something different in your life, you know how you see certain people talk about write things down. If you have goals, write them down. I've seen quite a few people say if you have goals in life, write them down and then take action on achieving those goals. And when you take action and you see yourself achieving these goals that you want, you move into different parallel worlds like that too, because now you're moving into parallel worlds of accomplishing goals and getting closer to a happier life. And so you already move into a parallel world like that too. Think about people who have had successful YouTube channels, or singers, or careers. They made it their business to push towards their goals, and by that they moved into a different parallel world because they finally achieved their goal. And so they don't realize they're in a different parallel world because they don't use those kind of definitions, but they have moved into a different parallel world. Okay, talk to you later. All right.